Right now, as you're watching this, roughly 100 million Europeans are enduring temperatures above 35 degrees Celsius. Germany hit 41.5 degrees last week, breaking its all-time record 2 days running. Over 1,300 people have died in the current heat wave, and in Spain, France and Germany, air conditioners are selling out. Second-hand units are going for 2 to 3 times the price of new ones. The International Energy Agency's efficiency chief has a specific phrase for what she's watching happen. She calls it panic buying during scorching weekends. People are grabbing the first air conditioner they can find and preparing to live with it for the next decade. If you've ever panic bought anything, toilet paper in 2020, gas during a shortage, flights before a border closed, cans of soup before a storm, the psychology underneath what you did is the same psychology now driving Europeans to grab any air conditioner they can find. It isn't greed, it isn't stupidity. It's a documented decision-making pattern that fires when 3 specific conditions line up, and the pattern almost always produces the same outcome. A purchase you'll live with for years, made in a moment, never designed for making long-term decisions. Here's the thing nobody talks about. Panic buying isn't one phenomenon, it's the convergence of 3. The first is scarcity signaling. Your brain treats limited availability as evidence that the item is more valuable, and the situation is more urgent than either is actually true. The second is social proof cascade. You see others buying, which registers as confirmation that buying is the correct response, which produces more visible buyers, which registers as further confirmation. The third is the specific way human decision-making degrades under acute physical discomfort. When you're hot, tired, uncomfortable, or scared, your brain doesn't do comparative shopping. It grabs the first available solution and commits. The 3 converge in a way that produces a decision the person will not have made in any other circumstance. And the decision, once made, is unusually sticky, because unwinding it means acknowledging that the panic was the driver, not the reasoning. Psychologist Robert Cialdini, whose foundational research on influence began in the 1970s, documented both scarcity and social proof as 2 of the 6 most reliable levers of human decision-making. Scarcity, when something is presented as limited, its perceived value rises regardless of its actual value. Social proof, when others are visibly doing something, it becomes the correct thing to do, regardless of whether it actually is. Both operate below conscious thought. Both are firing simultaneously across Europe right now. Every empty shelf reinforces the scarcity signal. Every neighbour with a new portable unit reinforces the social proof cascade. The International Energy Agency's own observation adds the third piece. Their efficiency chief noted that Europeans buying portable AC units aren't shopping carefully. They're grabbing whatever is available on the weekend when the heat becomes unbearable. Because these units typically last 10 to 15 years, the decision made during one panicked weekend becomes the cooling infrastructure of that household for the next decade. The panic passes, the purchase remains. Picture this. It's a Saturday. Berlin, 40 degrees Celsius. Your apartment has been building heat for 3 days. You haven't slept properly in a week. You walk into the appliance store around 10 in the morning. Half the shelves are empty. A shop assistant tells you they have 2 portable units left. Neither is the one you would have researched if this were a normal purchase. One is louder than you'd like. The other uses more electricity than you'd like. Both cost about 20% more than they did in April. You buy one. You install it that afternoon. It cools your bedroom just enough that you can sleep for the first time in a week. And that unit, chosen in a moment where you had almost no capacity to compare, evaluate or wait, will be the machine that cools your apartment through every summer between now and 2036. The decision felt small. It wasn't. But here's where it gets interesting. Panic buying isn't a failure of intelligence. Every one of the 3 mechanisms driving it evolved to solve a real problem. Scarcity signaling helped our ancestors grab the last available food before winter. Social proof cascade helped groups make survival decisions faster than individuals could reason them out. Acute stress decision compression helped humans grab any available solution instead of freezing while a threat approached. All 3 were adaptive. They're just being asked to run in supply chains, retail environments, and consumer categories they were never designed for. But there's more going on than adaptive mismatch. Modern retail is specifically engineered to trigger these three mechanisms deliberately, even when no real emergency exists. Limited time offers, low stock indicators, urgency countdowns, every one of these targets the same circuit the Europe heatwave is triggering naturally, which means most people are panic buying multiple times a year in situations that aren't panics, because the circuit has been activated by design. The Europe moment is unusual only in that the panic is real, and here's the kicker. The cultural framing of panic buying has been almost entirely as moral failure. Panic buyers are hoarders, are selfish, are foolish, are the reason there's a shortage. The framing is almost always wrong. Panic buyers are running a normal circuit under conditions the circuit was built for. The shortage is usually caused by the cascade itself, not by individual buyer character. Now let's be honest, not every purchase made during an emergency is panic buying. Sometimes there really is a shortage, sometimes you really do need the thing, and sometimes the fastest available option really is the correct choice. The reframe applies to the pattern where the three mechanisms are running the decision rather than the actual situation. If you're a European right now buying an air conditioner because you actually cannot sleep at night, that's not panic buying. That's a legitimate response to a legitimate emergency. The label applies to the mechanism, not to the situation. But for the pattern itself, the one running in most of us multiple times a year, here's what's happening. You're not a bad consumer. You're not weak-willed. You're not the reason there's a shortage. You're someone whose brain has three well-functioning circuits that evolved to help you survive, being asked to run in modern supply chains, often engineered to trigger them for reasons that have nothing to do with survival. The decision made under panic tends to be the one you live with for years. The work isn't to never panic buy. The work is to notice when the three conditions line up that you're in a decision-making state that was never designed for durable choices. Sometimes noticing gets you just enough room to wait a day, check one other store, or buy the unit that will actually serve you for a decade. There's something quietly ancient about 100 million people in a hot summer buying whatever they can find to survive the week. Our ancestors did versions of this for thousands of years, grabbing at whatever was available, following the crowd toward what looked like safety, making fast decisions under conditions that punished slow ones. The circuit is old. It worked. It just happens now inside stores designed to trigger it in a summer that is going to keep getting hotter for the rest of our lives. If you've ever panic bought anything, this might be the moment to consider that the buying wasn't your character. It was your biology. Running in a world that has learned exactly how to press its buttons. You're not weak. You're not greedy. You're not the reason there's a shortage. You're someone whose brain runs three well-functioning survival circuits that get triggered by real emergencies and engineered ones equally. And recognizing when they're firing is the first step to buying the thing you'll actually want to live with. If you're the person I've been describing for the last 8 minutes, the one who has panic bought something in the past and quietly regretted it, or who is watching the Europe heatwave right now and recognizing your own past behavior, I want you to hear this. Nothing is wrong with you. The pattern is old, honest, and one of the reasons your species is still here. It's not a character flaw. It's a circuit doing its job in a world that has learned to trigger it. If any part of this landed, I'd love to know. Tell me in the comments about a time you panic bought something and later realized the panic was the driver. If you want more videos that name what your mind is actually doing when you thought you were just being yourself, that's what this channel is for. Hit subscribe. See you in the next.